How's it going, guys? It's Alan with Frost Collectibles and Hometown Sports Cards. Today, we're going to talk about valuing your time as a dealer slash seller. It seems kind of obvious, but it's actually something a lot of people miss and don't take into consideration when they're looking at collections. There's a bunch of different types of collections. You know, you've got a couple very big cards, you've got a lot of middle range cards, or tons of small cards. When you start getting into buying collections, you have to be aware of how long it's going to take you to assess the collection and appraise it, how long it's going to take you to post it, how long it's going to take you to sort it. Your time is the most valuable asset you have as a dealer slash seller. The time you're wasting with a bunch of 1990 Donruss, you could be posting bigger, better cards. You could be looking for other deals. You could be handing out your cards at wherever. You can be doing a lot more productive stuff. So the first tip I would give out is, if you have a potential lead on a collection, do as much research as possible before you go meet the guy or girl, the person. Get pictures. I can text and email while I'm doing other stuff like posting or sorting or organizing. It's when you get bogged down sorting through, 4,000 card count boxes that you can blow several hours, 4 hours, 8 hours assessing a collection that might not be worth $100. So knowing these things beforehand is probably one of your biggest advantages going into buying a collection. The other part is taking in travel time. I live in an area that does not have a high density of sports teams around. There's not a huge sports market atmosphere here, sports cards, memorabilia at all. So I quite often have to travel to get to collections. If I'm having to drive 4 or 6 hours to go look at a collection and then drive 4 or 6 hours back, that's something I'm going to factor in to the final price I'm going to offer the seller to make it a viable deal. You have to be making at least 30% to make it long term as a dealer. 40% is even better. Anywhere between 30 and 40 is totally fair market value, being a buyer buying a collection off of someone who's looking to get rid of it. Most people are okay with that idea. If you let them know what the fair market value of the cards is and say, hey, as a dealer, I'm willing to pay 70% or 60%. Now, that price for me really depends on a couple things. Is it $1,005 cards, or is it 5 $1,000 cards? Of course, the 5 $1,000 cards, I can probably move a lot quicker, I can deal with a lot easier. Storage, everything, it plays a huge factor. The $1,005 cards, you're going to spend hours organizing, posting, all of that. That is in somewhere where I would offer 60%, as opposed to maybe I'd get closer to offering 70% if it was, say, the 5 $1,000 cards, because that's so much easier to move and so much easier to deal with. A couple examples of good use of time and bad use of time. I had this little deal right here. We had a text chain going. I had pretty much solid info on what he had. He had about 100 cards from 58 to 64, and it's all Dodgers. So it was basically every Dodgers card from 58 to 64. All the Sandy Koufaxes, all the Drysdales, the Campanellas, the Gil Hodges, the Duke Snyders. So this whole deal took 1 hour to get done, and there'll be a decent amount of profit in that deal. An example of a bad use of time: not being organized here in my office and in my house. I spent 5 to 6 hours looking for 5 graded cards today, and I still didn't find them. So I wasted my whole day where I could have been posting and getting stuff done and shipping stuff out, looking for cards that should have been in a certain spot, in a certain box. And that'll kill you in the long run, that waste of time and not valuing your time appropriately. So like I said in the very beginning, it seems like something that's pretty obvious to value your time, but it's something that a lot of newer buyers or timid buyers do not do. You have to be comfortable as a buyer, as a dealer, talking with people. You can't shy away from the fact that you're spending your time assessing their collection, appraising their collection. I do some consigning for people. When I do consigning for people, when I'm assessing their collection, I'm asking $40 an hour to assess their collection on top of the 30% that I'm going to take for the consignment fee. It's something you have to get comfortable with, something you have to get used to, and it's something that will become second nature if you're traveling or buying a lot of collections. You've got to get used to factoring in how much your time is worth. Come up with a figure in your head, stick with it. Don't be shy to mention that to the person selling the collection, because they'll understand it. 9 times out of 10, it makes perfect sense to them that you said, hey, I drove 2 hours here, driving 2 hours back. It's a large collection. There's a lot of it here. It's bulk. It's not worth a ton. I'm going to have to sort through. So just something to keep in mind as a newer dealer or seller, whatever you want to call it. Most of the advanced dealers, sellers, they've already got this down. They probably know this. But something to do if you're not already doing it. Absolutely start doing it. Factor in your time. It's your most important asset. You can't ever get it back. So if you spend a bunch of time working a deal, then factor that into your final offer on the collection. And that's the tip for the day from Alan, Frost Collectibles, Hometown Sports Cards. There'll be more coming soon. Stay tuned.